on, everyone? James Numbers here, and welcome back to another episode of the Political Freedom Fighters podcast. And in this episode, and for the first time ever in this podcast series, I actually have multiple people on as my guests. So with that being said, everyone, I would like to introduce to everybody the Socialist Party of North Carolina. How are you all?
Fantastic.
Good.
All right.
Fantastic. Glad to be here, James.
I'm glad you guys decided to join me as a group. I've never really had this before, so this is going to be really interesting. So the first thing I got to know is, who are you guys and what do you do?
Okay. Who wants to start?
You can start.
Okay. Hey, comrades. I'm Josh Bradley. I have been a member of the Socialist Party since 2016, since Mimi Soltysik's campaign for president won me over. I'm an accountant in hotels, and I've lived in Raleigh since 1992 when I came to college, and I've working on the fourth candidacy for Raleigh City Council.
All right. Who wants to go next?
Tony.
Go ahead, Jesse.
Okay.
I just joined.
Okay, cool. Name's Jesse Cozzini. Well, as a job, I'm a dump attendant or a convenience center attendant, whatever you want to call it. I've been part of the Socialist Party since late last year, so I'm going to say August of last year, I think. Yeah. So I've mostly started, and most of what I've done is working on the Josh Bradley's campaign, and occasionally helping with some other party stuff, but it's mostly been campaign stuff so far. But yeah, and I moved down here 2021, so about 4 years ago.
All right. Next is Tony.
Hi there, y'all. Sorry I'm in my car. I had a flat tire, but I'll get that taken care of. Well, hopefully it's not too flat. My name's Tony Ndege. So, thank goodness for technology, right? So we can do this from anywhere. I've really been involved with politics since high school. I've been a socialist, anti-capitalist, anti-war organizer since the 90s, pro-labor, what have you. So it kind of makes sense that I'm a member of the Socialist Party. I was, and still am part of the national leadership of the Green Party and was former co-chair of North Carolina Green Party. I do find myself more aligned as a socialist in terms of being in a distinctly anti-capitalist party, and I find it to be the most democratic of all of the parties that I've been involved with and see out there. So that's why I'm a member. Joined a few years ago, and been rabble-rousing with Joshua for many years, since around the Occupy movement, and we just always bump into each other, and so we've been close comrades since then, and that's where I am now. I work in education, also trained in music and directing.
All right, that's actually pretty awesome. All right, the next thing we want to go over is, let's talk about the history of the Socialist Party of North Carolina.
Okay, I can take that one. The Socialist Party, the first time I came in contact with the Socialist Party was when I was in college in the early 90s. Melvin Little, who does a podcast too, he left the party, but introduced me to the Socialist Party when I was when I was young, way before I radicalized, right? And then something happened in the next 10 years, and the local here fell apart. And then Stephanie Chalinsky had moved here from Minneapolis, was working at UNC Chapel Hill, and reinstituted the local here. and it had been going, I think, about a year before I joined in 2016. And we've had a local, used to be called until recently the Northern Piedmont Local, which, since we are neither Northern or in the Piedmont, we've changed the name of the local here in the Triangle area to the North Carolina Triangle Area Socialist Party. And right now in Winston-Salem, Greensboro, Charlotte, they are starting a local in the process of chartering a local for the Central and Western North Carolina. And once we get that second logo up and going, we're gonna create an official state party for the Socialist Party of North Carolina. So it's been a long road, but it's a good one, and it's continuing forward. And hopefully we can have we want to provide an alternative outside the capitalist parties, whether they be Republican, Democrat, or Libertarian, an option on the left. And then our goal is within 2 or 3 years to have ballot access, and then you will have not one but two choices for a actual left party in North Carolina.
All right, that's actually a pretty good answer. So, why did you guys join the Socialist Party of North Carolina?
Who wants to go first?
I'll answer. Like I said, I was involved with the Green Party, but also, so I was a co-chair, and I've been a national co-chair. So I'm used to parties. I guess what got me interested in this is that the fact that I have been a movement activist for a while, and I've seen the role that the Democratic Party, well, both parties, but the Democratic Party has played in dismantling movements, literally coming in and taking, and oftentimes paying. I don't mean necessarily backroom deals. I mean just literally offering jobs and nonprofit jobs and what have you to the best and brightest organizers and young activists. And unfortunately, it gets them wrapped up in the kind of politics that eventually defangs our movement. And so naturally, I gravitated to the Socialist Party. I've been very bitter towards both of the capitalist parties, especially since the second Iraq War, when I was an activist and I saw how the movement leadership, misleadership, however you want to put it, played a role in shutting down the movement from the inside. And that was very, that took me out of activism for several years, because I was just so just shocked by it. But now, thankfully, due to a Socialist Party, but also we've been having political education classes, when I've been able to all of these past movements that we've had, Occupy and Black Lives Matter. I've been one of the co-founders of Black Lives Matter, Winston-Salem. All of these movements have given me resolve in the fact that even though some of these parties have a lot of money, and even attempts to reform the Democrats, and we've seen the descendants of Mamdani and other folks, that eventually people are going to break. I mean, there's already kind of a break, right? Mamdani himself was elected in spite of his own party, right? That has tried to has multiple times tried to backstab him. I don't see that's the way to go eventually, because we need to form independent power, and I think people are going to learn a lot from these things that are happening now, and see some of the contradictions. So it's kind of a long way to say I realize that we absolutely need an independent party, absolutely need independent organizations and unions, whether they come out of the present unions or new unions are formed that are fiercely independent of the Wall Street and war parties.
All right. Jesse, Josh, who wants to go next?
I'll go. I got started in activism in the Occupy movement. I considered myself a left Democrat for many, many, many years. During Occupy, I was part of the infiltration working group, and our goal was to send people into the political parties just to make sure, just to see if they were cracking down, because, you know, during the Occupy movement, they had Homeland Security there. I mean, and we were all on a lot of lists. So I as my part, I joined the old Wake County Progressive Democrats under Trista Evely and later Chris Teleska. I was elected policy chair and did that for a ridiculous amount of time. But during the time there, people were like, "Nah, this is socialist. We're not a socialist party. I mean, you're getting too socialist." So, in 2016, I happened to catch Mimi Saltisic and Angela Walker talk, who are the Socialist Party presidential candidates, and I realized that I aligned very, very much with them, and very, very not so much as a Democrat. I'd already radicalized past the Democrats at the time, but I was, you know, you go through that phase where you think you can put in reform. You know, you got Bernie Sanders. He's not awesome, but he's better than what they had. And we'll see what happened. And it turned out that the establishment Democrats were really against Bernie, and Bernie isn't super left himself, but much more left than Democratic politics. So basically what I did was, the next time somebody told me I was being too socialist, I quit the Democratic Party, I quit the Wake County Progressive Democrats, and I joined the Socialist Party. And when I joined, I got a call from our presidential candidate, Mimi, God may rest in peace, and I'd never had a political experience where I joined a party and the top of their presidential ticket decided that he was going to take time out of his day to give me a call and talk to me. And I was very fortunate that I got to know and have many conversations with Mimi, and his passing was during my second campaign, and it was like a gut punch. But ever since then, I've been plugging along. I also hold a card to the North Carolina Green Party, but I started with the Socialist, and the Socialist is, I hate to use corporate terminology, but I'll say my true north. So yeah, that's me. Jesse, go ahead.
Oh, got it. So before I joined the Socialist Party, because I joined it about a year ago, I moved down here about 4 years ago, and was part of the IWW, which is a kind of a old militant union, and part of the Socialist Rifle Association. And weirdly enough, what drove me to join this party is that most of the IWW didn't have any remaining organization that I already knew of. They had members, but not much organization. And the SRA, all the shit they did was on the weekends when I worked. So I was just like, I guess I need to find a different group if I actually want to be involved. So I was sort of scouring around, sent communications to multiple parties, but I think it was Bradley was one of the two people who actually answered back when I was looking for parties, and I ended up joining this one. And a lot of it came down to just which party I was had capacity to be involved with, and also I think because I want to be part of a more broad tent far left party instead of one that was kind of in the box of, say, like vanguardism, anarchism, all the other very small segments of the far left. And also one that essentially a party within what's the right word? It was close by enough that I could actually be involved with things instead of, just sort of sitting things out because I couldn't make it at any time. So not long after that, I think it was like a few months after that, I started doing pool reading, whatever you call it, for Josh Bradley's campaign. So that's kind of how I got involved. And also there was the theory meetings too. I attended a few of those right before I joined, essentially, which was kind of nice because it was sort of, I think it was a place to, both discuss things, even if we didn't agree on everything, and also put what we discussed, at least some of it. We can't put everything discussed to action, but at least put some of it to action. As got to refine that theory with practice. So.
That's awesome, and I find it interesting. You mentioned the Socialist Rifle Organization. I've heard a bit about this before, but I don't know too much about that organization. So, before we go over to your platform, I'd like to know, what is the Socialist Rifle Organization exactly?
Socialist Rifle Association was kind of both formed as a left-wing alternative to other kind of gun-related organizations, mostly having to do with training and stuff, which is mostly what it does. It's kind of, like most left-wing groups, there's always a social aspect to it, because, why wouldn't you want to socialize with people you have stuff in common with? But there's also, like, a lot of it's training, so, like, range days, that sort of thing. They even do, like, first aid training and that kind of thing. Like, I think they're called Stop the Bleed courses, if memory serves. So a lot of it is just about training left-wing working class people in how to use firearms safely, and occasionally in other stuff local members might know how to do. But yeah, it's more of a training and aid would be more of the priorities of said organization. Unless it's things like, there's certain things they don't train in because they don't want to be perceived as a militia, because they're a registered nonprofit, from what I know right now. So, yeah. That was something up shortly, I guess.
All right, let's go over your platform. What is the platform of the Socialist Party in North Carolina? Well,
we take a lead from we've got the National Party has a platform, so we tend to follow it. It is multi-tendency. It is anti-capitalist. It is eco-socialist. It is very working class or proletarian focused. We organize. We believe in democracy from the ground up, and we are the remnants of the Party of Debs. While we are multi-tendency, we do generally tend to align with Debs and Marx. Whereas being multi-tendency, we have members in the party who would consider themselves Marxist-Leninists. We have people in the party that consider themselves anarchist. But the beauty of the Socialist Party is we find a way to work together, because right now the biggest threat isn't sectarian socialism. The biggest threat is capitalism and everything that comes with that, from the environmental degradation to the exploitation of the workers to the fact that we live in the heart of the empire. We are one of the richest nations in the world, and the working class still cannot afford the basic things that they need to get by. So if you go to socialistpartyusa.net, it'll break down the entire platform. But generally, we're anti-war, anti-imperialist, anti-capitalist. We are feminist. We are very pro-working class people. And the goal of our party is to make sure, unlike some of the other parties, we don't leave anybody behind. You have the Democrats that are starting to ease off on their support for trans people. We will never do that. We will never leave anybody behind. We are here for the working class, and we are here to hopefully start building to force a paradigm shift in thinking. We are a revolutionary party. We run people in elections where we can, but we don't fool ourselves to think that they will hand that capitalists in Wall Street and the war makers will hand over power in an election. But it gives us the opportunity to get into places to put our message out that is strongly pro-working class, and in areas where we normally don't. It gets the elections help us get the word out, but I don't think that any of us have the thing that even if every election was full of socialists and we won everything, that they would hand power to us. But the goal is to get the message out and to start local organizing and to start organizing on the ground with the people that are most affected by the situation we live in. And if that's okay, like, Tony, Jesse, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you're certainly not wrong, Josh. I mean, the two main things that are so important is the fact we need political independence from both of the capitalist parties, and that goes hand in hand with the fact that we are firm in the fact that capitalism ultimately cannot be reformed. That doesn't mean that we don't fight for reforms now. I mean, that's how we get ahead, and that's how we figure out how to, as a class, as communities, as how we figure out that we're what we got, So I think we serve a very important place in the spectrum because of the fact that we believe in independence. It doesn't mean that we're independent just to be sectarian, meaning like, oh, we're the purists or whatever. That it means that's the fact that capitalism literally cannot be reformed. It's when you have a system that is built and predicated upon profit. It's not predicated upon the ultimate growth of humanity. And there's nothing, even though there's some advancements in technology, it's always been profit motive first. And that includes also the war machine and the fact that as long as class civilization has existed, war has been the zenith of technology and the motive for a lot of these advancements. And we're at a point in humanity where we can't go any further in terms of war. We're looking at destruction of the entire planet, and we're ecologically, as Josh said, we're looking at the destruction of the entire planet. So we have to reconfigure our system from the ground up. It doesn't mean tear everything apart. It just means that we need to turn property relations upside down. And there's many different ways that different folks in our organization feel that ultimately has to happen. But I think what's so important is that we speak that independence, even more than a lot of other people who call themselves socialists. Long stories behind that. Some of them even, Communist Party and other organizations kind of are inside outside with the Democrats and what have you. And our most important thing right now is that we are the voice of where we need to go. And that can, one person with that voice can ultimately, if we can help to shape movements, do the work of 1,000 people in a reformist organization. Also, one last thing, if you want to learn more and study more, we have leftunity.study.com. It's essentially a study group it's kind of like my church, but it means that I go there almost every Thursday. Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. Sometimes it opens a little bit early for people to chat. and we just keep on going. So if you can join us, leftunitystudy.com, if you're interested in anti-capitalist politics and learning from the greatest minds in history on that, please definitely join us.
All right, that's actually great. Now, you guys have mentioned that the party is an eco-socialist party, and I don't think a lot of people know what eco-socialism is. So, what is eco-socialism?
Eco-socialism is an acceptance of the fact that you can't solve the climate with capitalism, because capitalism is predicated on infinite growth. That you need to continue to grow, your economy needs to continue to grow, or else it falls apart, which it does every 10 years anyway. Unfortunately, we don't live on a planet that has infinite resources. So eco-socialism predicates that the environment is important, and the solution to the environmental destruction of the capitalist situation has to be planned along eco-socialist lines, and which would involve a planned economy, which would involve reallocating resources in order to repair the damage that's already been done, and then investing not for a profit motive, but investing for the good of the environment and the civilization that it maintains. It's not Malthusian. We don't think that there is an overpopulation and the world is overpopulated. In fact, the world isn't close to running out of food. The problem is, with distribution of food and destruction of land for food is all for profit. It's all artificial. All the scarcity is, the only reason there is scarcity is because of the need to push demand in order to get prices up. If you take away the capitalism and you invest in actual remediation of the climate, it's something that can be done. But it's something that the capitalist world has considered more and more not to do. Right, like every time they have the COP meetings and stuff, nobody makes their goals. The Paris Accord had very little real impact, and then the people that signed into that didn't even make their goals as a large part. And it's telling that if you read the UN climate report every year, it's gotten more and more hysterical every year. Like I think they're actually talking about capitalism as a problem, which is weird coming from the UN, which tends to not really have a problem with capitalism and bourgeois democracy. Over. I hope that explained it. I mean, I could go on. I'm probably not the best person to talk to it, but that's what it is for me.
Well, Joshua, don't you know that Elon Musk has proposed a constellation blanket of satellites, presumably from his own company, to solve the problem of global warming?
Yeah.
Well, they'll block the sun. We'll have so many effing Elon Musk satellites that will block the sun. So yeah, that's those are that's the thinking there that they have. I mean, you can't. I mean, ultimately, the UN is not. The UN is speaking towards this, but those summits are not addressing the fact that there's like 12 people or something that own more wealth than half of the world. And as Joshua said, we're not Malthusian. If we actually had true global development, some of the birth rates would actually equalize on their own via development. But this right now, if we have more than enough food to feed the entire world many times over. So why is there still starvation? All of this is actually manufactured by the system. I mean, anytime you have 12 people that have more wealth than the poorest half of the world, insane. That's the greatest global inequity since the dawn of anything like society. So it has to be stopped. I'm sure Jesse would agree. What you got? Anything to add to that?
Not a lot to add to it. No, it was just I forgot what I was going to say anyway. So it's afterwards. So.
All right. You guys mentioned a bit about Eugene V. Debs a bit, and I don't think a lot of people know who he is, which is insane considering that he was a presidential candidate that ended up going to jail for speaking out against war. So, who was Eugene V. Debs?
Yeah, he was a socialist organizer in the early 20th century. He got almost 1 million or just over 1 million votes from prison. He was in prison for being against the draft and being against World War I. He was a member of the Socialist Party of America, the old party. He was the one that said that I would rather vote for something that I wanted and not get it than vote for something that I don't want and get it. He was a big believer in independent politics, and he was a big believer in doing stuff outside of the capitalist parties. It's interesting today that there's some people that call themselves Debsian that still work with the Democrats, which is weird to me considering who he was. But yeah, he was an early leader of the Socialist Party in the early 20th century, and ironically enough, and I'm going to throw this in there, and you might not be interested in it. If not, I'll apologize. World War I was opposed by two major socialist parties, and it was the Russian Socialist Party and the American Socialist Party, whereas a lot of the European parties tended to go with the nationalists, like, say, Germany. So, but he was against that, and they threw him in jail for agitating against the draft, and he still won almost 1 million votes, or a little over 1 million votes. So, yeah, big organizer.
Yeah, and speaking of which, I guess we can talk about the anti-war stance of the Socialist Party of North Carolina. So, what is anti-war exactly?
Yeah, we believe that as we are at the heart of the empire, we are. It might be not an empire in name, but it's an empire in reality. We oppose all foreign projects. We oppose the propping up of dictators. We oppose wars for regime change. We are very, very much opposed to U.S. intervention overseas, and the fact that there are well over 100 foreign military bases in the United States, whereas I don't think any other country is even close to having a foreign military bases, and we are not the police of the world. And if you look at us historically, as the United States, we have really done nothing that they try to sell us on when we go to war. We have propped up dictators. We have annihilated countries and then left them broken. But the one thing that we really have not done is actually been a net benefit for the world. So we oppose war and imperialism of all forms, and everybody look out, because the United States their war on fishing is going to end up going. They're going to end up trying to push for a war in Venezuela, which we should staunchly oppose. We should staunchly oppose the blockade of Cuba. We should staunchly oppose any foreign intervention, not just today, but before. If you look at what's going on and what went on in Gaza and still going on in Gaza, it would not have happened without the United States. And the most conservative estimate is 60,000 civilians dead, more than half women and children. I don't know how morally we can stand behind that, and it wouldn't be possible without the U.S. war machine, and Republicans and Democrats. So that's something that the capitalists all agree on, is killing brown children so they can make money for their investors in their wartime efforts. We believe that there should not be any profit motive to go to war.
Yeah.
And that's just me. Tony. Jesse?
I think regarding us being an anti-war party, a lot of it, I think, does come down to the fact that we are going to oppose pretty much all fronts of the capitalist machine, and the main front of the capitalist machine that actually affects not just us but the world in general is war. And if we didn't, if we only opposed what they're doing to us domestically and not what they're doing to the world in general, we'd be not only hypocrites, but we'd be kind of purposely alienating ourselves from the material effects of the U.S. and its capitalist empire.
Well, and bear in mind, the U.S. military is the largest polluter in the world, so it ties into eco-socialism as well. Warfare does not do good things for not only to the people that it kills, but the environment itself is not benefited. Tony, you want to speak to it?
Yeah, as Josh said, war is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. There's a investigation into how many essentially war contracts overseas. This includes buildings that were never used. How much money just disappeared over the course of the Afghanistan and Iraq wars, and it's something like $4 trillion at least. At least. That's with the T. So that just shows you the level of immense corruption, inherent in the war industry, and it is the largest single discretionary expenditure by far of the United States, and it keeps up. The reason why is because war and the war culture is just built upon hegemony. Just the fact that we're number one, this kind of team, almost just the concept that we're immune to the actions of what we're immune to the repercussions of what we're funding, and we're not. We see now the education system's collapsing. This COVID money is drying up, and just in my city, there's a $47 million shortfall. I know there was money spent in various ways, but this is going to happen in every single city, and people are who've been living in debt are finding life unsustainable now, especially housing. Housing is just the big thing uniting everyone, and now food insecurity, and all of these. So what does that have to do with wars? It's the largest expenditure of empire, and that we are at the heart of empire, and that has to. So we're in a unique position to flip the script on so many things and change the face of the world. How do we do that? By independent organizing, and do what people did. The last time there was a government shutdown, they stayed home. Unfortunately, until later on, it wasn't formally organized. But then the flight attendants union started to threaten a mass strike, and that would have crippled that would have stopped everything. So that was very powerful, and we need things like that. And what radicalized Eugene Debs was he was the head of the American Railway or Rail Union, I can't remember, or ARU, and he was one of the leaders of the Pullman strike, which was shut down by President Cleveland, and federal troops were sent in, and something like 70, like upwards of 70 people died, maybe more. I mean, it was a very, the history of labor in this country is very militant and very powerful and influenced the rest of the world. And it's something that's been kept out of our history books in schools by design. As well as, of course, as the real history of the civil rights movement, not just, marches, which were great, but this is really real mass organizing and organizing at the highest level. And we need to get back to that.
Yeah, and I agree with the anti-war stance and opposing imperialism. And, I don't think a lot of people know much about imperialism either in general. It's not a term that I usually hear every day. So what is imperialism exactly?
Well, imperialism, I always think it's pretty self-evident. It's the fact that in modern terms, the United States, after the fall of the Soviet Union, became the largest military in the world and had one of the largest nuclear stockpiles. So basically, what you can see is imperialism and colonialism came out of U.S. and Europe, where we basically have our hands all over the world, and then we take all the productive work and resources from the global south and bring it into the heart of the empire to feed the managing class, the business class, the ruling class, the bourgeoisie. But we do it by, in our case, we do it by having military bases all over the world and invade and airstrike other countries with little provocation. And it's basically exploiting other countries to bow to our will here in the United States, and to make sure that we take the world's resources and then have control and dominion over the world, hegemony over the world. And it's not just the United States that did it. Europe did it all the time. That's where you see the birth of colonialism and the slave trade and all of that comes from imperial powers, right? Because they couldn't support their ruling class as comfortably as they wanted to, so they decided to colonize other places and then take the resources from there and send it home. And that's what empires do. The Roman Empire did it. The British Empire did it. It was about going in other places, taking their resources with minimal upkeep of people and sending them to the heart of the army. So, at least that's what I've got. I mean, our country was kind of built on slavery, genocide, and that kind of stuff. From the very beginning, the largest genocide in modern history was what the British and later the American did to the indigenous people here. They're saying that pre-colonial population of North America was over north of 30 million, and how many indigenous people are here now? Like, not even a fraction of that. So, that's all to maintain the wealth of the elite. Tony, Jesse, please make more sense than I do.
You want to say something, Jesse?
Yeah, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, I mean, everything you just encapsulated it. I mean, in our study group, we were reading Lenin's Imperialism. I mean, you don't have to be a Leninist to be in the group, but we were reading that. But essentially, what it is, it's capitalism needs to expand, in order to survive, and because you just keep on having the bigger fish, no matter whether or not they're the better or more productive company, but the ones that survive in the wild eat the other smaller fish. And you want something new technologically. Sometimes you eat another fish that has that technology, and then incorporate into your Borg, and that's not necessarily always efficient. That creates all of this just immense problem. But the issue is that eventually, in order to cut the costs of producing all this stuff, right? You have to expand into the rest of the world and the previously colonial world. And the colonial world, especially after the Second World War, but even before that, had been uprising against the colonies, where you had actual protectorates and actual full military and also settlements there. Whereas imperialism is a means of actually creating a level of development there that you control the government, you can control the people in charge there through monetary finance and through debt, and ultimately through war, if they don't stay in their place. And that's what we have here, and we have so the United States sees the entire Western Hemisphere as its hemisphere, which is why they're just having extra judicial killings in the Caribbean, and boats in the Caribbean, and thinking that they thought they could just install a puppet who was not democratically elected, Guaido. I mean, it's just the arrogance of it, but that's what they want to do in order to make sure that they're not happy even with 95%. They want 99% or 100% of the profit or what they can squeeze out of us, and it's never enough. And which is why imperialism will lead to war. We've already had 2 world wars that shows that people who try to talk about the evils of socialism or what have you, or communism, and well, there's no greater evil than what happened in the Second World War. And then now we see the most televised, most media broadcast genocide in history unfurling, and still the United States is funding it in Israel. So it's not just the fact that people don't you can't argue that people didn't know. So that's the generation, and I think young people are reviled by this, and why you're getting folks like Mamdani getting support, but eventually you will have new organizations and movements, and hopefully we'll be a part of that, leading that.
Alrighty. You guys also mentioned about the exploitation of the workers. So, what's going on with the workers, and what can we do to improve the living standards of workers?
Well, I'll give you my answer. What's happening? What's basically happening now is the people that produce the value for companies are not really benefiting from it. So they are redistributing the wealth from the people that produce the value in whatever good or service you're using, and they're taking they're taking most of that value and giving it to people that aren't doing the work, the investor class. So you have situations, and I'll give you, since I work in the hospitality industry, the hardest job that anyone can do in a hotel is clean rooms, right? It's hard, and you've got to be good at it, because there are people that aren't good at it. They don't last long, and you get complaints because the rooms aren't as clean, right? But it's it's very physical work, and it'll wear your body out over the generations. But unfortunately, the people that make the least amount of money generally in hotels are the housekeepers. I mean, so it's exploitative, because without the workers, nothing could get done. You couldn't, the people that make the TVs, and the people that make the food in the restaurants, the people that take your trash out, all of that couldn't be done without workers, right? But workers are seen as resources and not as people. So the capitalists in this country have done a very good job, especially in the South, of maintaining, of holding down unions and propagandize workers to make workers think that unionization is bad. But when it comes down to it, we are more powerful together than we are apart. So the best thing that the working class could do would be to organize, whether in unions, whether in political parties, and because we are together, when we are stronger together than we are individuals, right? Because like a strike will shut down a plant. If this country could do a general strike, you would see change overnight. Unfortunately, we're pushing against a lot of propaganda, and a lot of people are desperate. A lot of people have to work 2 and 3 jobs just to pay the bills, to keep a roof over their head, and to keep themselves and their children fed. So productivity in this country it continues to rise. Less people are doing more work for less money. It was the early 70s where productivity separated from wages. And the only way that we're going to get by this is to work together and to join an organization. Even if you don't want to join my organization, join an organization that aligns with your values and then fight for it. It's like when it comes down to elections, people say vote, and voting is good. Like, I would love it if people in the Raleigh area who see this vote for me for city council. But it can't stop there. Because if you just vote for people, you're giving them their permission to do whatever, and if you don't organize behind what you don't care about, they're going to forget about it, or they're going to get a better offer from people with more money. So the laziest thing that one can do is just vote and say, well, I voted and that's all I can do. But no, you've got to organize about it. And like I said, join an organization. Even if it's not my organization, if you don't believe in anything that I believe in, but there's stuff that you believe in, you need to join an organization to help it, because we are more powerful together than we are apart. So that's why us as the Socialist Party, we will get involved and work with other organizations on specific things, whether that be labor, whether that be organizing against the genocide of Palestine. We are going to show up and support. We're not there to take it over. We are there to show our support and to work together. And that's the one thing that is the only thing that is going to save us as a society, is by banding together the people that do the productive work, and the people that would do the productive work but aren't able. There are people that are on disability and for whatever reason can't work but probably would. My wife is an example. She is on disability now. If she could work, she would do it in a heartbeat, because she's poured off her gourd all the time. But due to physical circumstances, it's not something that she can do. So we don't leave anybody out, but we as a working class are the ones that make the world move. Another hotel example, if you run a hotel and the investor doesn't go by the hotel is going to run fine. If you go to the hotel and the manager's not there, like which happens like on weekends and stuff, they'll be on call, but they won't be there, the hotel runs fine. But if you're running a hotel and no one shows up to clean the rooms, you don't have a hotel. If there's no one to check people in, you have no hotel. It's the workers that generate the value. And if it weren't for the workers, all the wealthy people, the bourgeoisie, who sit back and take their money from the stock market, from gambling in the stock market, or more than half of the wealthy people in this country are inherited wealth. If they don't show up, stuff gets done. But if workers don't show up, nothing gets done. So our goal as a party, and hopefully our goal on the left, is to get the workers, the people that do the work, together and say, you cannot exploit us. You can't make us do all the work for you and then take the largest part of the benefit. It's just the way it is. Like we as workers have power, but the people in the investor class and like I use the word bourgeoisie a lot, the owning class are very good at separating us workers. They're very good. They use racism. They use all kinds of stuff in order to keep us from joining together to work. And the one thing that we as socialists and we as workers need to do is to get together and work together and demand our fair share of what we produce. And I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, that very much answers my question. And apparently, I don't know what's going on with my Google Meet. Apparently, my call's about to end soon. I've never had this happen before. It might just be because like I have like 3 or more people on. So, is it all right if I like end the stream, end the Google Meet for a bit, and then you guys like join back in? I'll just like end it, and then I'll just like reopen it. Is that cool with you guys?
Yeah, it's fine. Would it be the same link?
Yes, it would be the same link.
Yeah, that's fine with me. Tony, Jesse, we good?
You're good.
All right, I'll end the link for now, and then I'll like reopen it.
Okay.
All right, that's it for the platform. We just got a few more questions. So, how's the party doing right now? And what are you doing right now?
Well, we are in a growth phase. We are still a small party because organizing Socialist in the South is complicated and difficult. But we are on a growing phase. The North Carolina, the north of the Triangle, the Socialist Triangle area local of the Socialist Party has been going on now for several years, and we are very happy to note that in process we have the Central and Western North Carolina local. As soon as we get that chartered, which is in the process. Once we get the 2 locals, we are going to push to form a state party with all the apparatuses that comes with that, with filing reports with the state, and something outside of just my political campaign, and we are going to make a push for ballot access, which is difficult. In North Carolina, it's not as difficult as it used to be, but we have to get I think a little over 15,000 signatures in order for people to actually be able to register as Socialist in North Carolina. And if you're watching this, even if you're not a Socialist, political diversity is always good. So we would hope that if you come across our petition or petition for any party, that you'll enthusiastically sign it, because democracy, as it were, is made stronger by a diversity of perspective. And right now, the 2 main political parties are center right and right wing. We have a Libertarian Party that's generally on the right. We have the Green Party that is a center left party, and we would like to have some more left options, if you will. So even if you think that I'm a disgusting commie, think about it as a diversity of political opinion. And yeah, but Tony, Jesse?
Yeah, well, Joshua talked a little bit about his campaign. Hopefully he'll be, if we decide to run again, Joshua will be back soon. So it's looking like that, and but Joshua has run several times for city council, once in his own district that he lives in, and then also at large. The last time he ran, we got fantastic reception, and even though there was the turnout wasn't the best on election day, we also hit early voting, and I think we got close to 27,000, something like 26,500 signatures. I mean, sorry, votes. Sorry, out of it. In ballot access mode, 26,500 votes, which is pretty phenomenal for a very open socialist in Raleigh, going up against several other folks, including incumbents. So that was really powerful, and showed that there are a lot of people who support our vision, our platform, and it was so important to have that, to not let the capitalists and capitalist liberals to solely have the platform, because even though some folks may consider themselves liberals, ultimately they're for the police state, ultimately they're for mass incarceration, and fund it more than anything, when that money could be used to end homelessness and in so many of the problems that supposedly they're saying we need police for, and they seem to say that we need more and more police, and yet really actually violent crime has dramatically fallen over several decades. So that's the way they want us to think about each other, and how even people who say that they claim they're for diversity, they profit from a system that's steeped in racism and white supremacy, and keeping folks, thinking that if we provide for all, that's taking something from them, and that's always been targeted at uh, white folks, especially now suburban populations, with that kind of a fear. Now, I mean, all kinds of people of all ethnicities and colors are buying into that kind of BS. And no, we're all in this together, and that's why we need a candidate that supports workers. And hopefully, I will be running soon, but not this year. Trying to get some personal stuff together, but we're going to try to push to have a few other people run. One of the things that they're doing, and we're not just about electoralism, but one of the things that these parties are doing is, for example, in Raleigh, where Josh ran, they're now having municipal elections in tandem with the regular elections, which will actually like drown out like any focus on the actual candidates, as opposed to the federal elections. It's going to be kind of like secondary. Also, you have to file much earlier, and the primary will be that we didn't have primaries that reduce down to a certain number of candidates. Now we do, and that's going to get all of the basically designed to weed out the people who don't have a lot of money, can't fundraise very quickly, because those primaries are in March. So this system is just it's getting increasingly obvious that they don't want us to even have a voice, and that's both parties. Sometimes one will favor one group over another in their rivalries, but ultimately they really don't want us to be a serious voice, and why we need independent organization.
Yeah, and also, and not to belittle my campaign or anything, but I know that the Socialist Party out west has been being a key player in organizing some of the protests against the genocide in Gaza and against U.S. intervention in Venezuela. So I know Tony and some of the other comrades in the western end of the state have been very, very active in that, and got a lot of good work out of that, right? Tony, do you want to speak to what some of y'all is organizing out in the center and the west of the state?
Yeah, I'm based in Winston-Salem, so I have a pretty good base of activist contacts here. So we started out with, some of our protests had over 400 people, which is really good for the triad. They had huge ones in Greensboro several times, and marches in Greensboro. It's a little bit more march friendly. We're not, but we've been out there at Haynes Mall Boulevard and Stratford Road, which is the biggest intersection. I really encourage anyone in a city where it's difficult to get hundreds of people all the time, because that's just the politics of the city. It's just not your fault. But if you want to reach hundreds of thousands of people, go to the busiest intersections. I've met some folks who I think are going to be lifelong friends and comrades and contacts through this experience, and it's still ongoing. We went to city. We're trying to get things past the city council, but now we're fighting city council with other things, anti-homeless ordinances, and now the federal, not the federal, the courthouse in our county is banning use of any recording device for regular people, which is we're just slipping towards that totalitarian, fascism, in many ways, and so we're fighting back against that, and proud to be a part of that. Several of the people in the Palestine Coalition are core members of the New Socialist Party here. So if you're looking to join us out in the Triad and Western North Carolina, up to about Asheville, we're hoping to actually have that area have its own local. If we can, get out there during the spring. But right now we're encompassing that area like Charlotte and the Triad and part of the Western.
All right. I guess a couple more questions. Will the Socialist Party of North Carolina create a YouTube channel?
Probably.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. I know the National Party has a YouTube channel. It's fairly underutilized, but we are talking about that. We are also talking about doing starting up a podcast as well, and then get some just to sit around and talk about what's going on in the world and what's going on in the state and what's going on in our local areas. So we are going to try to get that done. There has been some talk of doing some discussions based on our theory group, which isn't just the SP. It was founded by members of the Socialist Party, the North Carolina Green Party, the Southern Policy Institute down in Conway, and some other Socialist Party affiliates. We've been going for get close to 5 years now since the pandemic, doing that theory group. So if anybody's interested, like Tony said earlier, Left Unity Study, jump on. If you don't like us, then we don't require you to stay. But the more people we have on for discussion, the more interesting the discussion is, and the more perspectives is better. But we're gonna get a YouTube channel. We've been having some problems with our domain hosting for the website, which is weird, but hopefully we'll get that resolved pretty soon, and be a little bit more active in our presence in the area. It's what you get, because like I'm so old, and I'm probably the longest recently continuing serving member of my local, and I'm old, so like us olds aren't really as good on the social media stuff, but but we've been talking about doing a podcast, and obviously we'll be doing some for the campaign. We have my campaign has a YouTube channel that we have me talking at city council and some events that we've done in prior campaigns and stuff. So that's there. But once we get the chartering process done in the center and western North Carolina, and we start building a state party, we're definitely going to do a YouTube channel. We'll probably try to hit the other social media stuff, and something that I've been trying to focus on in the Raleigh local is production of physical propaganda, physical media, because the thing about social media platforms is, with the exception of maybe Mastodon, which not a whole lot of people uses, they're often controlled by people that run against our interests, So it's really easy to get shadow banned. It's really easy to get to push to the bottom of feeds and stuff like that. But if we kick it old school and then just make stuff that you can wheat paste and put on telephone poles and put in libraries and stuff that have not necessarily just for us stuff, but stuff organizing. Like, we've got to worry about ICE incursions, and we have to worry about the fact that now our ICE is funded at a level that's higher than most countries' militaries, which is scary, because they don't recruit the smartest people, and we do certainly recruit the most fascistic. So, getting literature produced and getting it out there in any way that we can in order to help people that are affected by that, I think is something to good. But yes, we are planning on doing a YouTube channel.
That's great.
Long story short, sorry.
That you're doing great, and I especially like the fact that you mentioned physical media, because not a lot of people talk about physical media, and a lot of people are more than ever getting interested in physical media again, because of like rents and the subscription services of people, like some BS going on with the subscription services where like whatever you pay, it's not really like yours, like companies like Netflix can like take it away at any time. It's insane.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and the people that run those platforms have a vested interest in making sure that their workers aren't organized, so because they can pay them less. So while social media, we're going to continue to make a push on it, and I know our Facebook page is pretty active. I don't know that our Insta is. I don't know if we have an Insta, but it's important to hit social media, but it's also important to get the word out in ways that can't be blocked. Like if you go out and put something on the telephone pole and they take it down, you can just put it back up. I know the goal, like I'm one of the conveners of the Anti-War, Anti-Imperialism Working Group for the National Party. And one of the things that we've been working on is trying to find ways to get physical media out there, to make it available to where you can go to a place, you can print it, and then you can distribute it as needed, or have templates to use for your own stuff. We are also talking about doing bookmarks, creating bookmarks, and then going into libraries and used bookstores and just putting them into the books. And then, nobody's going to begrudge a bookmark, even if they're offended by the subject matter. Like it holds the place in your book. So what are you going to do? But social media is important. Getting a web presence is important, but getting out, obviously doing the work and getting involved in groups on the ground that are organizing, but also, I hate to use the word propaganda because it's so, people see it as a negative connotation, but I mean, it's the way things are. Like if I wanted to put up a poster that says city council would rather fund the police than find housing for people, I can put that up there, and I can have links to the information showing that what I'm saying is true in a small, easily digestible part to give people an on-ramp to do their own research. So,
all right.
But yes, YouTube channel. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's actually a great answer.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We also have a link tree, SPNC. I just looked it up. So that's where until we're working on revamping our website. So that's where we're telling folks to go. SPNC, like Socialist Party North Carolina, at Linktree, like linktr.ee / Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're doing great. In fact, I will be linking all the social medias of the Socialist Party of North Carolina in the description below, as always, in case you want to check them out for yourselves. And the last question is there anything else you guys want to talk about?
How much time do you have? Like, there's a whole lot going on in the world.
Those we can talk.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to say thanks, James, for having us on. It's always good having a platform and a way to get the stuff out there. And I just want to emphasize to everybody, we would love if you're interested in joining us. I mean, I know our Facebook is active right now at Socialist Party of North Carolina. Or if you want to go to the national organization is socialistpartyusa.net. That has what's going on at the national level. And if you're interested in my campaign, my website, I've got to get the security certificate fixed, but it will be bradleyforraleighworkers.com. Just saying everybody that listens to this, regardless of their political ideology or philosophy, if there's something that you care about, you need to organize. Voting is not enough. Whether find yourself as an anarchist that likes their bosses a lot, look to the libertarians. Like if you find yourself, that you think capitalism is a great way, and you think that the Republicans or Democrats doing good, I guess if you want to, you can do that. They might not listen to you, but if there is an issue that's important to you, whether it's making sure that people get food or people have a place to live, even if you don't join the Socialist Party, and we'd love to have you, as long as you're anti-capitalist. I mean, you can join otherwise, but you would probably just be angry every time you hear us talk. But if there is an issue that you want to get, that you strongly believe in, don't just vote. You've got to organize. Join an organization. Even if it's not ours, we'd love to have you, as I said, but regardless of what your political philosophy is, it's important that you organize and fight for what you believe in, because if you don't, then one person is going to be ignored, but large groups of people won't. So I guess this is not necessarily from the party, this is from Josh Bradley. Like if there's something that you believe in, then you need to organize in order to get it done, and to hold pressure on electeds or hold pressure on society in general in order to make sure that it's done. Because one voice is not much of a much. Our party isn't very big on the cult of personality. I mention Mimi a lot, but I just knew him. He's a friend of mine, and I miss him. But we're not about cult of personality. We're about working together to make positive change for people that need it, and we are also about not leaving anybody behind. Like whereas some of the Democrats have started toning down their message on trans rights and stuff, we won't ever walk away from anybody. We are here. We are very, very, very much supportive of everybody's gender choice or preference. We are very, very supportive of everybody, what everybody's needs are, and we if we don't rise up together, then there's no point in rising up. So as I said, everybody, we'd like you to follow our information, take a look at it, and see if you find it's something that you agree with. We'd love to have you. But if there's something you believe in, please join an organization. And thank you very much, James, again. I really appreciate this.
You guys are very welcome. So with that being said, everyone, I hope you all have enjoyed this episode of the Political Freedom Fighters Podcast. If you're new to the channel, if you have enjoyed, hit the like button down below. Please hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and hit the notification bell so that you can be notified of any new videos that are going to be coming out on this podcast. And obviously, feel free to type in a comment if you ever got any questions. And with that being said, I hope you all enjoy, and I'll see you all later. Peace out.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.